Okay, so I want to start this video a little bit. And I want to go back to the water video. I don't know, it's just staying on me to kind of like give y'all some insight of that situation as well as the video, because I didn't really go into depth. And in the video I said I don't want to really talk about my husband. So actually this video will be giving a full explanation of what really happened with the water and how we actually got to that. And that was the second attempt, right, from my husband. I don't know whether he was thinking in his mind to actually hurt her, but when it came out that way, then he became inverted and in denial, because when he thought about it, he found out he was wrong. And also I think it made him not too much know how I was going to respond. So he didn't want to admit to it, because I guess he felt like, well, if I don't admit to it, then she can't do nothing to me. And God forbid that he thinking, God forbid that I admit to it and she does something to hurt me, then there will be a case against me. I mean, this is my logical thinking. I don't think his brain could have went that far to think, but I'm not going to underestimate anybody, you know. In times of stress and in times of situations, the brain functions to its highest capacity. So his mind could have went to that. So I'm not going to admit to it, because if she does something to me and it comes out and she got to go to jail or something like that, you know, then she'll have this against me. And then I will go in and be in there forever, because I admitted to this crime. So with that, I'm going to try to stay focused, right? So now, the story unfolds with me coming home. It's the first episode. Me coming home from school. I was trying to further my career into a career, right? So I was going to school. And upon me coming back from school, I went into the house. I stayed into the house. As soon as I walked into the house, my neighbor upstairs didn't come downstairs, sent her daughter downstairs to tell me to come upstairs, because she had to tell me something. When I walked in the door now, I tell you, this was far from my head. I didn't think nothing. Every time I come home from school, I go and check my child. When I went to check her, I don't even think I checked her yet. I think as soon as I got in, the knock came. Well, where we lived at, we didn't keep our doors locked. I could walk in her house, she could walk in our house, the whole building, right? Cool, you know, doors stayed open. Everybody knew one another. So, I don't know, I guess they saw me come in, because they window was in the front. As soon as I came in, they came downstairs, and the daughter told me to come upstairs. So when I get upstairs, the mother, which she was my best friend, you probably heard me say in some of my videos, my drinking partner. So the mother says to me, Sharon, and she had a friend there, right? They said to me, did you check on Tandra yet? I said, no. They said, well, you need to go check her and take her to the hospital. I said, why? What happened? They said, because we saw Tracy, my husband, and he was my husband at the time, and this is his child. And the reason why I'm saying that, because a lot of people have asked me when I would go on therapy, when I went to the doctor, in reference to that, in reference to my child, they asked me, was that his child? And I said, yeah. So this is his child. They said because we saw Tracy in his underwear, boxes, running up and down the street, yelling out, help me, help me. And I was like, wow. See, this is why I say his mind, I will not underestimate his mind, you know, because your mind steps in when you get scared and get to work. I'll have it as probably ain't logically saying it right, but she's saying that he's running through and he's yelling, saying, help me, help me, help me. So she sent her daughter, said, go down there and see what's going on with Tracy, because by now Tracy went back in the house. So when they got in the house, they said the child was limped, and very hot. So she thought it was a fever. So they called the ambulance. The ambulance came. No. He brought the child upstairs. They told him to bring that child upstairs. So they brought the child upstairs. And the ambulance came. When the ambulance came, they did CPR on her. So she died. They said that she doo-dooed on herself and everything. So she passed out. So now, you got a certain amount of time that your brain has to lack energy before you either become a vegetable or you completely die. So, I'm going to say become a vegetable, because that's what they say. So I can't remember the time span. So apparently they got the oxygen running soon enough, and she came back. So yes, she died. She died. And this wasn't the first time. I'm talking about the second time, the water part. The first time, I did say the first time in the beginning, but I'll come back to the first time another time. This is the water part. So so they said, Emma's brought her back, and Emma said, okay, we're going to take her to the doctor, take her to the hospital. That's what it was. She wasn't in the hospital. No, she was. She was. Just give me time, because I just got to make sure I get this together. Right. No. She was not in the hospital. That's the first time that he was in. So, yeah. Again, but, oh, God. Let me, bear with me, because, first of all, when I get to really talking about this, it takes my mind to the memory, and then I have to put all the pieces together, because to be honest, I had to, for many years, not really think about it, because just like I said, I'm very yes, okay. I get very emotional at times, so I don't really like to talk about it, but I just want to explain that video to you guys. I say that caption, the title of the video, because somebody said they don't understand the story. So that's the reason why you didn't understand it, because I didn't tell the story. I just was talking about the response of another video. Okay, so that being said. So now, yeah, he was running. They took the child up there, right? And I go in the room, right? Yeah, they told me to take it to the hospital. So, okay, we go to the hospital. I don't even know whether I called the ambulance. However, no, I think I took her, right? So now when I would sit her up like this in my lap, she would scream. Do you hear what I'm saying? And I couldn't know what was going on. She would be like that type of screaming. And I was like, what is going on here? Right? But when I would lie her down, she'd be like she would catch her breath. And she was about a year old. She was about a year old now. So now I'm in the hospital. And this screaming is going on in the hospital. And it only takes place when I sit her up. So I think that happened like once, I'll say twice. So the third time when I did it, the people in the hospital that was before me, they was like, go, take that child to the front desk, to wherever, find out what's wrong, because them screamings is getting to me. So I was so, you have no idea what was going on with me. I had no idea what to do, because this was all brand new to me. So I was thinking about doing the right thing and not make nobody angry, so I didn't want to really jump. And then I was thinking about the child, what I need to find out what was going on. So finally somebody came, one of the people that was waiting, they just came, and they came with me, and they took me. And they say, listen, this child is screaming, and y'all need to find out what was going on with her. So we not going to take it no more. Everybody in the waiting room is putting her ahead of us. So y'all better do something. So the nurse, whoever it was, the receptionist, whatever, went back and got the nurse. The nurse came out, and they said, okay, what happened? So I began to tell, because this was Woodhall, and before you went to see the doctor, you had emergency, you had to fill out the stuff, and then you go see the doctor. Not even the doctor, whoever it is you see first. So the doctor, they went to got the nurse came out and started questioning me. So when I said she was burned, I said, I don't know what happened, but my husband said that she fell in some water. They said, was the water real hot? I said, I don't know. He just said she fell in the water. So they said, okay, come on in. So when I went in, they said, the nurse told the doctor, and so the doctor said, okay, take off her tights. So when I went to pull up her dress, right? Now, I don't know why I didn't feel it before. Maybe it didn't swell up yet. When I went to take up her dress, and my hand ran across her legs, I felt like bubbles in her legs. And I said, oh my, I started panicking. Now, even though I didn't do nothing, I was panicking like I did something. And now I understand why people run, you know. So I was like, I pulled down the tights, and when I pulled down the tights, there was blisters about this big, from the knee, below the knee, all the way down to midway her thigh. The top part of her thigh, the blister stopped. And I started screaming. I said, oh my God. I said, nurse. So they came running in. And when they saw it, the nurse said, doctor came running in. They said, oh my God, this child got 3rd-degree burn. They said, come on, we're going across the unit to the burnt unit. So now I'm running with her, and she's crying. Right? Because that's what made me really look, because she started screaming again when I sat up, like to take the tights off or the dress off, some reason why I sat up. And then that made me, when I lied her down, then she kind of relaxed, and I said, wait a minute, let me see, maybe her stomach hurts. So I started pulling down, and that's when I saw everything. So here we are, we running. I didn't even know Woodhall had a burnt unit in there, but I guess every hospital has these things, but you don't know it's there unless you actually experiencing it. We must have ran like, it seemed like forever. We running and running. We went through like a tunnel, and we get over there, and now I see all these different types of doctors. They got these different masks on. It wasn't COVID. They had these masks on, and they had these gloves on. They looked like astronauts, right? Which I found out why, because you can't touch nothing with your bare hand. So once I walked over there, they said, all right, mother, you can stay over there. I said, no, I'm not staying nowhere. I'm going to sit right here. I'm going to stay right here. They said, okay, well, you have to put on protective gear. So I had to put on, they was helping me put it on, because I was holding on, because my daughter had me so tight, she wouldn't let me go. And I was like, Mommy's here. And she just, and this is my daughter that died. I just want y'all to know which daughter this is. This is the daughter that died, right? So now, we get over there, they put all the stuff on me, and then we go, then they start looking at the stuff. They check her vitals and all this other stuff, making sure she could see. They said, what's her name? Tandra. They said, what? I said, Tandra. They said, wow, they said, that's unique. I was like, all right, where you get that name from? So they was actually talking. I was like, why are they asking me about some names? But they was really talking to me to keep me relaxed, because I guess they knew the seriousness of the situation, which I didn't. And they had to keep me calm so I wouldn't panic or go into, now y'all understand why I got high blood pressure. So, the doctor checked and all the burnt doctor said, oh my God, they said, we're going to have to bust him. And my daughter was so smart, she was like, she understood, and I was like, y'all got to do what? They said, Mother, and that's when they said to me, they said, you can leave, you can wait outside or whatever if you want to, because this is like going to be traumatizing. I said, I don't care. I'm staying. I am not, what? I'm not going nowhere. It was like, all right. They said, all right, Mom, just relax. So they said, we're going to need you to hold, I think they said her head and her hands, right? And they had another person that was holding the legs. And then they had another person that was behind her holding like this part. They were all men. There was women there, but it was the men that had to hold her. Tandra was strong. So I guess she understood the concept of busting. So I stayed in her face like this, and I was like, Mommy's here, Mommy got you. And child, let me tell you something, them blisters, okay, good, this is a good example, was this big. All of them was this size, and they was puffy, right? Yeah, I did check on her. I just got to rewind a bit. I did check on her. I was in there, and I was looking at her, and I was saying, what's wrong, Mommy? And she was, I was like, what's wrong? And that's when they came and got me, and I went upstairs, and that's when they told me. And then when I went back downstairs, I got her up and picked her up and took her. And he was like, where you going? I said, I'm going to the hospital. What you did to my child like that? And he didn't say nothing. So, yeah, I just had to throw that in because I did check her. And you know that mother's instinct, you can detect something is wrong with your child, right? So now they're going to bust. So they went to the first one and they busted, right? And it wasn't like a balloon. You just pick it and bust. This is skin. You hear me? And your skin blister up. When you get a little blister, you don't think nothing about it, but it puffs up to protect the inside of the skin, right? And to indicate that there's an issue, that something happened. So this is like hard. This part of your skin, it is very hard. You know, I don't want to. That's why it's kind of hard to like really get in there and cut it, because there's layers to this skin. And I got to see it. So when they finally bust the first one, you can see the skin. You can just see, oh my God, it was like, I can't even explain it. And the doctor said, yep, that's what I thought, 3rd degree. So that's when I got to see what a 3rd degree. And they broke down the layers of the skin to let me know why it was a 3rd degree. Because the 3rd degree is your last layer of skin. And that's to the bone now. That's getting to your organs. You see what I'm saying? Your veins and your blood vessels. You see? So they really had to work hard. So they had to bust them, all of them first on each leg. And, you know, she screamed and everything. But then once the busting... See, the reason why she was screaming was because when I would sit her up, the pressure... And see, since it's like a balloon, when you press on the balloon, it get big at the top. Then when you let it go, it evens out. So that's what was happening. Every time I would put her up, that pressure would go to the top part of it, but it wouldn't bust. So that's what the problem was. So once they all was busted, it kind of like brought a relief. They even said it. They said once we busted, it's going to relieve us. It's going to give us some relief. She said, it's not going to take away from the pain, but we have to do something for the pain. 'Cause they really couldn't give her nothing because she was like 1 year old. What do you give a 1 year old? You can't just be giving them something. So I went, okay, my mind got distracted a little bit. So I gotta hurry up because I gotta go. So this may be a 2-part. I'm gonna try to get it all in this one. So we went, they bust them all. So after they busted, then they had to clean it. So they had to put, now you know that was another procedure, because they had to put the peroxide and all that different stuff on it. Right? They had to put all that stuff. They had to disinfect it. They had to, they had to put a lot of stuff. Because they had to get to the root of the burn, not just the surface. In order, because they had to clean it. So they got all of that done. They cleaned it up and stuff, right? And then it was time for dressing. So now, in order to dress it, they got to touch it, right? Well, they had to touch it. In order to dress it, they had to touch. As long as they was pouring stuff, that took her to a moment, but they wasn't touching it. But when it came down where they had to put the burn cream and all that stuff and then put the gauze over it and stuff like that, she started crying more. So I had to take her. They did it. They closed it up. Now, once it was all done, that's when the questioning came to me. And now I'm remembering that's the reason why we didn't get an ACS case then. Because I took her to the hospital. Right? The ACS case came in the first thing when the ambulance took her in. See, if the ambulance had took her in, then I would have got an ACS case. And I guess I would have got blamed again. I don't know. But that's why I got an ACS case in the beginning. Because the ambulance was called to the house. That's when my husband was running back and forth in the street. And my friends called the ambulance. And the ambulance came. And she was up in the house. She was in my neighbor's house. And they did what they did to her, right, because she died then. So they did what they did to her. And they brought her back, and then they put in the ambulance. And once they got in there, of course, they're going to tell them that the child died and they had to resuscitate her. So resuscitation on a child is a red flag. Like, what's going on in that house where a child dies? So that's how I got an ACS case. And I could not work for Board of Ed, anything to do with kids. Anything, because I love kids. And etc. So we're going to go back, stay focused, Sharon, stay focused. I just had to throw that in to give you a little leadway of how we didn't get a case, just in case somebody would say, well, that should have been an ACS case. But BCW, it was BCW back then. But no, I didn't get nothing because of the fact that I took her in. So that's how he got to stay there and everything. So once everything was done, the doctors asked me, they questioned me. And they asked me what happened. And I told them, I said, I don't know. I said, I went to school, and when I returned back, my neighbor told me to come to our house. And she informed me to check the child. And when I checked the child, I noticed, they said, what did you notice? I said, I noticed she was having, I guess it's called labored breathing. She was having labored breathing. And I noticed that when I picked her up to take her and take the bus, whatever, I would notice that she would cry more and her breathing would come more rapidly. And they were saying, yeah, the reason was because the pressure was too much pressure for her. Her brain couldn't take it. That's why she was screaming the way she was screaming. Because, and they were saying that they surprised it didn't burst. Because the impact of the blister. But they said that's just how the body is. The body protects it, protects its own. So even though the blister was very tight, and even though it was very tight, it was hard to bust because they used one instrument and they was like, no, we got to get such and such. They say, we got to get taffy because Tufa ain't working. So they went and got the taffy and they just stuck it like a balloon and it puff. And all the stuff was just running out. Oh, my God. It was a sight to behold. And it will be a memory and sketch in my memory for the rest of my life. You know, even though it was so long ago, when I actually get into it and talk about it, I remember the details very well. So they cleaned her up, and they put the burnt cream on it, and they wrapped her. And they told me, they say, Mother, you have to come here every day. It's going to be it may be very overwhelming for you. And if you want, you can leave her in. You can leave her in the hospital until we get a little healing going, and then you can come pick up. I was like, because in my head, I say, if I leave her in this hospital, I'm not going to get her back. I said, no. I said, I can do this. Because where we was living at? We was living on Bainbridge between Hopkinton and Saratoga. It's Thomas Boyland now. And Woodhall was on Broadway. So I had to take either the J train, most likely the J train to Flushing and get off. So that's what I did. I will walk down to I won't walk down to the A train. Because I could walk down to the A train and catch it to Broadway Junction. But then I had to go back. No. It had to be J train. I told him, I said, no, I got this. I can do this. And they was like, well, if you know, maybe we can get somebody to help you, your husband or something like that. And I was just like, no, I got this. I'll do this. This is my child. I do this. Because I had this mentality. After that happened, these children are mine. They don't belong to my husband. If I get pregnant by anybody, that's my child. That was my mentality. That's why I didn't get pregnant by nobody. Because my responsibility was to take care of my 3 at the time. So they said, okay, so you got to be here every morning at 8 o'clock with her. Every morning between 7:30 or quarter to 8. I was never late. That was one time I was never late. But now I'm thinking about it. I was not late. I was there. Okay, so I need to stop this story. I think that's the whole story. So I went about 3 or 4 times, maybe a week or a month. I told my grandmother what happened. And she said, Sharon, why don't you ask the people to teach you how to do it so that you don't have to run back and forth? I guess you could hear that it was really not so much as, not only overwhelming to me, but emotional to me. It's taking a toll for me to go there all the time and see them and see this. She was beginning to calm down more and everything. So, all right, I have to get ready. I'll come back and complete it. I'm trying to see if there's anything else, because I don't want to just end the story like this. Okay, so yeah, I went after I did it like 3 or 4 times, or a month or so. I think it was about a month I did it, because they said it's going to have to go for at least 6 months for it to heal completely, because the wound was real big. So the body has to produce the layers back of the skin. So they said it's going to take about 3 to 6 months. So maybe about the first month, maybe the second month, then I asked the doctor, could I do it? And the doctor showed me how to do it. They said, all right, you can do it. They said, if it come down that you can't do it, or whatever the case may be, you can come back. Come straight to the unit, and you'll be seen right away. You don't have to wait for nothing like that. So I said, okay. they really took pity on me. I was very young. I was about 20. Yeah, because she's my second child, so I had to be about 21. So I was real young. And I guess they look at this young girl going through this. She trying her best to take care of her child, and, you know, it's not about me, so I'm going to come off of it. So after a while, they taught me how to do it. And I went, and I started doing it myself, and I kept dressing it. So the other video, when I do the next video, because this is the end of the water video, this is why, because I didn't know how he did it, because he kept saying he didn't know. He kept denying it. So when I went this particular time to give her a bath, and I was taking the clothes off and said, this is after she healed up and everything. I said, okay, I'm gonna give you a bath. She started crying and screaming. I said, all right, no. Well, actually, she didn't say anything. She was okay. But when I came in the bathtub, I noticed that she started ridging up. When I went in the bathroom, when I went in the bathroom with the water running, she started ridging up. So while the water was running, I was putting her in the tub, but I had done check it. And that's when she balled herself up and started screaming and climbing up me. And I was like, what? I said, come on, and every time I would go to pull her, her legs locked. I said, all right, I'm gonna turn the water off. And that's when it came to me. I said, did my husband hold her up? He held her up like this in the water, in the hot water, and had her legs underneath the water. I gotta go now.